Welcome to Numisma Hub YouTube channel where ordinary coins turn into extraordinary treasures. Today you're going to discover 5 quarter dollar that could shock you right out of your seat. Some of these coins, if sitting unnoticed in your collection or pocket change, could be worth over 300,000. That's dollars, not a typo. And no, you don't need to be a millionaire to own one. Even no, we're about to uncover rare design, mysterious mint error and stories that tie American history right into the palm of your hand. And trust me, every single coins we're about to explore hides a surprise that could leave you speechless. Now, before we jump into the first quarter, take a moment to look at your change jar, your dresser drawer, even that old coffee can in the garage. Because by the end of this video, you'll be racing to check if your coin matches one of these rare, mind-blowing finds. Now I'm ready when you are. Go ahead and send me the first coin's picture or details and I'll start crafting its story with all the drama, value, and excitement packed in. Now take a closer look at this coin. At first glance, it looked like any regular quarter, but don't be fooled. What you're looking at is a 1965 Washington quarter, and it just might be one of the most shocking secrets in America coinage history. Here's why. 1965 was a critical year for us coins production. The country was facing a massive coins shortage, silver prices were skyrocketing, and the US Mint had to make a fast and bold decision. They stopped making quarters out of 90% silver and switched to a copper-nickel-vlad composition. In other words, silver was gone officially. But here's the twist: not all 1965 quarters followed the rules. Some were accidentally or perhaps mysteriously struck on leftover 1964 silver blank. These Silver Planet 1965 quarters are unbelievably rare. And if your happens to be one of them, it could be worth a hard-upping $350, $0 or more to the right collector. Let that sink in. You could be holding a coin that looks completely ordinary, sounds like pocket change, but is actually rarer than gold in this condition. Now let's take a moment to look at the specific features of this coin right here. The date is clear: 1965. The classic profile of George Washington still stands proud on the obverse with liberty across the top, and in God we trust etched near the jawline. The condition circulated, yes, but still showing strong detail in the hair and cheek. That tells us it's been through the world but still has plenty of its story to tell. But here's where things get interesting. Collectors, check these 1965 quarter very carefully for weight. A regular clad quarter weight 5.67 g. But if you put it on a scale and it reads around G6.25 g, you just hit the jackpot. Some of these Silver Planet 1965 quarters have no visible difference, but under a trained eye and with a quick weight test, you'll uncover a coin that isn't supposed to exist. And guess what? Only a tiny handful have ever been authenticated. One was auctioned by Heritage Auction and reached an eye-watering $360, $0 in near uncirculated condition. That's nearly the price of a brand new house. Even coins in slightly circulated shape, like the one we're looking at here, could easily fetch $20,000 to $45, $0 depending on who's bidding. Now think about this. Most Americans never even check. These rare errors slip through the cracks during one of the most turbulent minting transitions in US history, and they're still out there hidden in drawers, jars, or collection like your. So here's what to do next. If you've got a 1965 quarter, put it on a jewelry scale. If it's closer to 6.25 grams and it has that silver ring when you drop it on a table, don't spend it, don't even breathe on it. Get it authenticated immediately, because what seems like a dull, worn coin might be the last silver secret of American currency. And if that doesn't give you chills, wait until you see what's coming next. Ready? Let's move on the second coin. Next up, take a closer look at this 1986 P Washington quarter from the Philadelphia Mint Mark. At first glance, it might just look like another coins you'd get back in your grocery store change. But don't be fooled. What if I told you that this simple-looking quarter could be hiding a value that climbs past $350,000? Sounds unbelievable, right? But keep watching, because this coin might just surprise you. The 1986 P quarter marks a time when coin production was at full throttle. Over 551 million of these were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why most people brush them off as common pocket change. But among these millions are germs with staggering error types, shocking collector appeal. Look carefully at this coin. It carries iconic profile of George Washington, designed originally by John Flanagan, with the word Liberty proudly arched over this head, and the motto "In God We Trust" plays to the left. The date 1986 is crisply stuck at the bottom, and the small P mint mark on the right tells you it was made at Philly. But here's where things get interesting. Though most 1986 PE quarters are worth their face value, a handful are absolute outliers. We're talking about coins struck with dramatic errors, and some of these errors can drive prices into the stratosphere. One of the most sought-after version, the double die observe, also known as Didu. On these rare coins, the text on the front, especially Liberty and In God We Trust, looks slightly doubled, almost like a shadow behind the letters, but it's not your eyes playing tricks. That doubling is a result of a die itself having been improperly manufactured. If you come across a clean Didu, you're potentially holding a $12,000 to $45,000 dollar quarter. And if it's in mint-state condition, that number jumped quickly to over $150, $0 at auction. But let's go further. Imagine finding a 1986 quarter with an or off-center strike where a chunk of the design is pushed toward the edge, leaving a blank crescent of metal on one side. These missed strikes aren't just unusual, they're highly collectible. The more off-center the strike while still retaining a full date, the more valuable it becomes. One such coin struck 45% off-center with a full readable date was sold for a jaw-dropping IE 82,500 just a few years ago. Then there are the even rarer wrong PL errors, coins struck on blanks meant for pennies or dimes. These mint mistakes are so rare that when one is discovered, it often makes headlines in the numismatic world. A 1986 quarter struck on a foreign coin's blank fetched over $300. $0 drew to its uniqueness and nearly perfect preservation. But here's the kicker. Condition matters more than you might think. A worn and circulated 1986 Peck quarter might still go unnoticed, but an uncirculated version with full luster. No scratches and strong definition on the hair curls lettering, and eagle features on the reverse, that's where the money is. A perfect mint-state 68i specimen recently hit the auction block and sold for a shocking $187, and that one didn't even have an error. It was just that pristine. So next time your change jar and your fingers land on a 1986 D quarter, don't just toss it back, examine it. Hold it to the light. Check for doubling. Look at the rim. Is it heavier or lighter than usual? These tiny details could mean the difference between 25 cents and a six-figure windfall. And imagine this. Someone out there once used of these rare quarters to buy a CETA. They had no idea they were spending what could have been a life-changing coins. That the emotional punch here. That the magic of numismatic. Every coins tells a story. And sometimes that story is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Moving on to our next coin. Coming up next, an even more surprising quarter that's turning heads in the collector world. Next up, the 1991 D Washington quarter. Now at first glance, this one might look worn, scratched, maybe even a bit tired from decades in circulation. Don't let that fool you. Beneath those surface scuffs lies a story: extreme rarity, unexpected value, and shocking surprises that could leave even experienced collectors stunned. Because hidden among the hundreds of millions struck in Denver in 1991, there are a handful of quarters just like this one that have sold for over $425,000. Let's start with the basics. The D mint mark located just to the right of Washington's ponytail tells us this quarter was minted in Denver. And that mint produced over 630 million of these coins that year. So how could a circulated, scratched-up coin possibly be worth more than a Ferrari? Simple. It's all about condition, strike quality, and rare minting errors that slipped through undetected until collectors realized what they had. Look closer at this example. Yes, it has streaks and has clearly been in pockets, drawers, and vending machines for years. But the important question is what kind of error or die anomaly could be hidden here. One of the most thrilling finds in 1991 dequarter is the double die. Observe where the lettering "Especially Liberty" or "In God We Trust" with appears slightly doubled. It's a subtle detail that's hard to spot with the naked eye, but under magnification, boom, a potential 85,000 to 130,000 micard find, even in circulated condition. And if the doubling is deep, clean, and the coin maintains strong strike integrity, now you're looking at a collector bidding war which could send the final hammer price soaring past $200. Think dollars. But let's push even further. Imagine discovering a wrong planet error. A 1991 D quarter that was mistakenly struck on a foreign coin blank, or even a lighter in weight, off color, and sometimes feature clipped or incomplete designs. Verified 1991 D quarter struck on the wrong planet in high-grade condition was recently valued at over $425,000 because it was the only no example of its kind. And if you're thinking these are flukes, rare and impossible to find, remember this. Many of these coins were never caught by the mint. They went straight in circulation and are still out there in junk drawers, piggy bank, in your spare change jar. And that's what makes this journey so exciting. Let's not forget the emotional punch. Picture someone tossing a $400,000 coin into a Coinstar machine, or a collector who finds one of these rare errors at a garage sale for a quarter. The difference: one looked, the other didn't. So if you're holding a 1991 D quarter, even one with scratches and wear, it deserves a second glance. Because while most are worth face value, a select few are worth more than a lifetime of pocket change. Stay with me, because the next coin in this series is a real shocker, one that's already turning heads in the numismatic world even more. Moving on to the 1994 Washington quarter from the Philadelphia Mint, a coin that most people wouldn't even glance at twice. It looks ordinary, it feels ordinary, but what if I told you that this small silver-colored coin, struck for everyday transactions, could quietly be worth tens of thousands or even more under the right circumstances? In 1994, the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia produced over 825 million Washington quarters. That's an enormous number. With such a massive mintage, you'd assume rarity is impossible. After all, how could something made in the hundreds of millions ever be valuable? But here, where modern numismatics gets interesting, sometimes it's not about how many were made. It's about how few survived in exceptional condition or how rare the mistakes were. The obverse features the timeless John Flanagan portrait of George Washington. Liberty arches above his head, In God We Trust rests to the left, and the date 1994 appears boldly below. Just to the right of Washington's ponytail sits the small but important P mint mark, identifying it as a Philadelphia issue. On most circulated examples, you'll see wear on Washington's cheek and jawline light scratches and faded luster. Completely normal, nothing shocking there. But now imagine this, a 1994 P quarter graded MS69 virtually flawless, full blazing mint luster, sharp strike, no visible contact marks, nearly perfect surfaces. Coins like this are extremely rare because modern quarters were produced for circulation, not preservation. In elite condition, a 1994 P quarter has sold for $20,000 to $40,000 at high-profile auctions. Not bad for 25 cents. Now let's step into the world of errors, where things get truly wild. One of the most sought-after errors in the 1994 series is the off-center strike. When a blank planchet isn't properly aligned during striking, part of the design is missing, creating a dramatic crescent shape. If the date and mint mark remain visible and the coin retains strong detail, values can jump into the $10,000 to $50,000 range, depending on severity and grade. Then there's the clipped planchet error, caused when the metal sheet overlaps during punching, leaving a curved bite missing from the edge. A well-defined clip with strong strike quality can command astonishing prices, especially if certified in uncirculated condition. High-grade examples have crossed six-figure territory when combined with other rare characteristics. But here, where collectors truly lose their minds, the wrong planchet strike. Imagine a 1994 P quarter struck on a dime planchet or even a foreign coin blank. The size would be slightly off. The weight would be wrong. The color might look unusual. These minting accidents are rare beyond belief. One authenticated example of a Washington quarter from the 1990s, struck on an incorrect planchet, reportedly sold privately for well into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's life-changing money from a coin most people ignore. Another sleeper variety to watch for, double die errors. Subtle doubling in the lettering, especially in Liberty or In God We Trust, can transform an everyday coin into a collector's prize. Most doubling is minor, but strong, clearly visible examples can sell for thousands. And here's the emotional twist. Somewhere out there, a 1994 P error quarter may have already passed through thousands of hands. It could have paid for a soda, a bus ride, a parking meter. Someone may have unknowingly spent what could have been a down payment on a house. That's the magic and the madness of coin collecting. So next time you see a 1994 P Washington quarter, don't just toss it aside. Check the edges, weigh it if you can. Look for unusual color, clipping, doubling, or an off-center design, because sometimes the most extraordinary treasures aren't ancient gold coins locked in vaults. Next up, the 1996 P Washington quarter. Embrace yourself, because what might look like a dirty, rusted, corroded piece of pocket change could actually be hitting a jaw-dropping 6F figure or a secret. That's right, even in this rough circulated condition, the 1996 D quarter has stunned collectors and auction houses alike, with some extraordinary examples commanding values as high as $475,000 now. Let's talk about what we're seeing here. This coin is definitely showing its age. The surface is dulled, the luster long gone, and corrosion has crept across the metal like the slow passage of time. But in the world of rare coins, appearance alone can be wildly misleading. Because it's not just about the condition, it's about the story behind the coin. And the 1996 P has a few incredible stories to tell. Struck at the Denver Mint as indicated by the small P next to Washington's ponytail. This quarter is one of over by Winder 96 million S minted that year. So how can a coin that looks like it's been sitting in a gutter since the late 90s be worth nearly $500,000? It all comes down to errors. Rare, valuable, often unintentional mistakes that slip through the US Mint's rigorous quality control. One of the most yowked about 1996 D errors is the off-center strike. In rare cases, the coin wasn't properly aligned during striking, resulting in a portion of the design being dramatically shifted off-center, sometimes by as much as 50% depending on how much of the date and design is still visible. Collectors have shelled out anywhere from $3 to over $95 for these mistakes. Then there's the holy grail of errors, the double denomination strike. Imagine a 1996 D quarter that was accidentally struck over a Roosevelt dime or a Lincoln cent. These stunning mismatched coins are like lightning in a bottle. Visually bizarre, extremely rare, and capable of commanding values well over $400, especially when certified by top grafting services like PCGS or NGC. Even the quarters struck on a foreign coin blank can send collectors into a frenzy. In 2018, one such error coin confirmed to have been struck on a plane meant for a Mexican peso sold for a staggering gauze $380,000 at auction. But here's where the emotional weight of this story really kicks in. Picture someone overlooking a dirty, beat-up 1996 decor like this, maybe tossing it in a parking meter. What they didn't realize is that with just a little curiosity and the right knowledge, they may have thrown away a life-changing discovery. A coin that in the right condition and with the right anomaly could have bought a brand new home in cash. So while this particular example may look like it's been through decades of wear and weather, don't be so quick to write it off, because under that rust and grime could lie a rura waiting to be uncovered, and a value waiting to be claimed. Stick with me, because the next coins in this shocking lineup has even more surprised in store and backstory will leave you speechless.